Alright, guys, we're back for the final week of Supercoach 2023, round 24's review. Um, Honestly, pretty good round of footy. Did end up going to the GWS game, which was pretty fun. Um, Saw Charlie get the Coleman and everything like that. It was pretty fun. 26-61 the score. Ended up winning two league titles. Obviously, apart from ranked, pretty good year. 3,300 final rank. Not exactly where I want it to be. That's a bit low, like, clearly. I think it's really like, I'd say 2 to 3 trades is what put me down this low. Couple of just terrible rookie selections and unlucky injuries, let's be honest. Like the Dacos stuff at the end. If you had one trade left, I reckon you made like, say, about 1,500 spots at the end of the year if you could trade Dacos to a real premium player. But yeah, Stewart was pretty good. Dogs did end up winning this, but Geelong needed to kind of stand up, and I don't know, they did for say about a half. Then they kind of just faded away because they remembered there's nothing to play for. Dawson 111. I thought he was all right. I thought that's a little bit low on how I saw him, but truth be told, this was the perfect game from West Coast. For 3 quarters, keep the game relatively close. Show that there's talent in the team, and then fourth quarter comes along. We need pick one, so just absolutely tank the fourth quarter. Give them, I think it was like 8 straight goals, eight unanswered, something like that. So no, eight is too much. I think it was like 5 unanswered. Um, yeah, perfect game from West Coast. I think Dawson was a little underscored, and I think Laird was 138's actually around about right. But yeah, not too bad from them. Will Day, didn't watch this game, truth be told. Couldn't be bothered with this one. Thought it was probably going to be the most boring game of the round, just because there's not really anything for either team to play for. And it did end up being that way. So, yeah, kind of boring game. And we'll see about Will Day next year. Probably after this is done, I might record like a review, a year in review type of video. Yeah, Will Day will definitely be a guy that gets brought up on it. And then my hero, the guy who won me those league titles this week, pretty much like single-handedly because everyone else on this team. I mean, actually, I was going to say everyone else sucks, but it was really just like a couple of guys let me down. Harry the Goat. Harry Himmelberg, right? 129, huge game from him. He was on Mackay for most of the game, it looked like, from the stands. And, I mean, Mackay got his touches, but you're not going to stop that. He's a guy that pushes up and everything. But kept him goalless, so pretty good game from him. The couple off times he'd get stuck on Curnow, I thought he did a pretty good job at limiting Curnow. But I guess the delivery to Curnow outside like the first quarter was pretty poor. Like they'd overshoot him or they'd undershoot him, something like that. So yeah, good game from Himmelberg. A lot of intercepts. Pretty fun game to watch overall. Yeah, and then Bailey Dale. So this is one of those like I was so upset because I thought this was what had cost me those league titles. But yeah, he was all right. I mean, not really, but watching bits and pieces of this one, I was flicking between the West Coast one and this one. I wanted to see how many texts we'd get. Bailey Dale doesn't look that bad. Like he still does everything. It's just, I guess, not scoring actions. It's a lot of, I mean, yeah, 20 touches and I guess the marks, right? Didn't take many marks. It was a lot of just getting given the ball, which isn't amazing for defenders. You kind of want them to intercept and then make the play instead of like someone else has made the play and they're just a person in the chain. And then we had Chincotta on field as well, which, I mean, he has to be dropped for finals. I mean, he has to be. He is the most useless central defender I've ever seen. He doesn't open himself up for the play on offense. He's not a great tackler or man up guy on defense. He's one of the most useless players in the comp. And I don't mean that, like, no disrespect whatsoever, but, like, he's not good. He's very below average player. I don't know. His mind isn't there to think about placement, stuff like that. He's just in bad positions all the time. And I reckon most of the goals GWS had were with him at fault because he's not in position. Yeah, just a very, very weird player. I'd imagine he gets dropped for finals week 1. Like, there's got to be anyone in the VFL that they can call up. He's just not a good player. And this week really, really showed it. Even though I think he's been scoring in the 20s the last couple of weeks, he's not good. He's very bad. Yeah. Bont was massive against Geelong. Really, really needed to be after the Dogs display last week. And I guess the social media team really did throw him under the bus. If you didn't look at it, after they lost to West Coast, it was 24 hours. No, it was like 25 hours until the next post. They didn't post about the game. They only did a pre-match highlight video. Yeah, I think they got some like Indigenous elders and stuff out to do some things. And then they didn't post for like a whole day. And then the next post was just like them really throwing Bont under the bus and like just posting a comment of him saying like, "Oh yeah, we needed to be better," and that's it. And then they went another couple of hours without posting anything. Very, very, very weak from them. I think that whole social media team should be fired for doing something like that. You lose a game, you lose a game, right? Like, it's really not that big a deal. You lost to West Coast because you played bad. Guess what? West Coast play bad every week. I've seen them, heaps of them, and they don't shy away from posting the final result. It's very weak from them. Laird 138. Like I said, he was pretty good during the West Coast game. It's hard to really like measure anyone's performance versus West Coast. I reckon like I could go out there and get a couple of touches against West Coast. Their guys are just so weak. And just like not experienced enough to know what they're doing. But can't fault Adelaide for really beating down on a bad team. Haven't been able to do that all year, so it's good job to him. Like I've seen Kane Corns saying like Tex was so selfish at the end. How dare he, keep calling for the ball, dude? It's the final game. They've already been robbed of finals. Let him get the ball. They're against the worst team in the comp that's trying to lose because they want pick 1. I think that was just absolutely stupid take from Corns, which you've got a whole like library of stupid takes at this point. Traka 122, he was really good versus Sydney, I thought. Little underscored. I think around 135 is, I guess, more what I'd give him, but Mills took a lot. Goulden had like 40-something touches, so you had to give him a huge score. And then I'm guessing Oliver had a bit of a score this week as well. Who was Oliver? What do we got? 109. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what they're saying in terms of performances, but I think they were a bit better. Merritt was the only like good player for Essendon this week. That list is getting destroyed come off season. Half are going to get delisted, half are going to get traded, half are just not going to get signed back. It's really going to be a thing of like, don't call us, we'll call you if we want you back. Interesting to see what's going to happen there because there's a couple of guys there that I think are talented. Like Merritt's obviously talent, Parrish is good. Ridley is a top defender. Redmond is probably out. I think Redmond is talented. I just think his game's not well rounded enough to really like help in wins. No, help in stopping losses more so. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting because they've got a lot of these top picks over the last couple of years, and it's just nothing's gone their way. Pretty bad picking. Brayshaw is massive. We'll see about Brayshaw next year. He's at 109 average, which would I pick him over who else is 109? Because all these guys are going to be midfield as well. I would pick Rosie over Brayshaw. I would pick Taranto over Brayshaw. Not on current form, but like overall, maybe. Um, Neil, I'd probably go over Brayshaw. And, I mean, Dunkley, that's a fair difference in points, but I would obviously I'd go Dunkley over Brayshaw. I think Dunkley's one of the best players in the game. Just a really just rough patch of form at the moment. Yeah, where was I? Neil and Dunkley were pretty good this week. Like, let's be honest. It was a big game for Brisbane at the Gabba. Saints are in a pretty hot run of form post the Geelong win. I still don't believe in them when it comes to finals. They have to show me that in finals they can win a game in Melbourne. I think that they've locked up second. It doesn't show you ladder here. I'll drop one of these, like drop notepad and just put ladder there so I can see the ladder. I think they locked up second. Port have to go up there, which that will be a good game to watch, quite honestly. I think Port are all right on the road. I can't remember them losing too many away, but yeah, it should be a good one. So Neil and Dunkley, they were fine. They were fine. Let's be honest. And then Mills with the like one good game he's had this year, and of course it's in the final round when most people are done. I mean, I needed it, and it was another thing that really helped me win league titles and stuff like that. But yeah, huge from Mills, and hopefully this is a good omen for next year. He was in a lot of the midfield. I was checking the team sheets before the game. I'm thinking there's no way they pull him to half forward or full forward or half back and back pocket and stuff like that. There's no way they can do that. Surely enough, they didn't. They left him in the midfield, which these last couple of weeks he's just getting played everywhere and anywhere. It's so insane what they're doing. Just leave him as a midfielder. 12 tackles as well, that kind of helps. On the bench, only had Matthew Johnson play, and like I said, I didn't really watch that game. English and Marshall, I think they're the All-Australian ruckman. I don't think Gawn should make it. I think these two have just been a step above. I'd put English as the starting ruckman. Actually, I might make an All-Australian video. Maybe that's what I'll do after this. So because now the 40 man's out, and there's some names on that. But yeah, English is probably my starting AA ruckman. Marshall, if you want to put a ruckman on the bench, which I think is fair. I think the bench should be extended so you have one per position, kind of like our super coach is. But just because I think it's very easy to just fill the bench up with midfielders or like two midfielders, one forward, and then one defender. Even that, I mean, that's a bit more evened out, but I'd like a backup per position. That's how most other sport teams do it. They give the main position and a backup. And yeah, so they were both great. English was good. I thought he'd be a bit better because Geelong don't really have a ruckman, so they're going to be in play for one in the off season. I could see them getting Sean Darcy. I don't know how much they'd have to give up for it. Probably a bit, right? But Geelong, I don't know, they have some deal going on. They fleece everyone in trade somehow. And then Rowan Marshall, 154. Like I said, he's massive at the moment. He's on probably the best recent form of any ruckman. Even better than English. I just say English over the year has been better. There's a bit too much recency bias going into this All-Australian team, it looks like, off the 40-man. I'm not happy with it. Butters was massive. He just controlled the game against Richmond. So that was... him and Rosie are so fun to watch. Probably one of the more fun midfielders to watch. Goulden, like I said, 40-something touches. He was pretty good versus Melbourne. Next year it's going to be interesting because 111 average. Would you start him as a pure midfielder at that point? I think I would. I don't know if I will, but I think if I had him, I wouldn't feel like I'm missing out on someone else because he can put up huge scores and he's a great player. He's like Mills that plays in different positions, but he's better in more positions. That's probably a good way to put it. Rosie touched on him with Butters. Cogs, big game. He had, I think, 2 goals, was it? He looked good. I think he had 1 and then missed an easy one. Oh no, he had 2 goals. He did miss one, which was pretty easy. He just went for the kick too early. He had a couple more steps to take and didn't compose himself. Taranto, boy oh boy, what is this? So he hasn't turned up post bye. Oh no, he turned up once, and that was against West Coast. I think DFS has a feature where I can have a look at their stuff, like their averages. Go there. Please, let's just go here. Richmond. Okay, we've got the internet issues here. Give me a second, it will load up. Alright, so here we have it. Post bye, they had around 15 bye. He's only averaging 87. That's bad. Like, that's just not a good player. So for that reason, I don't think I'd start him next year. I mean, his start to the year was so good as well. He had a couple of 110s, a couple of 140s. I don't know. I don't think I'll start him. I think he's a perfect trade-in type of guy. Obviously, he's talented. You saw it in GWS. It's just hasn't been able to keep it up towards the end of the year. Maybe just falls off at the end. Hasn't got the tank for it yet. And then Keys. Honestly, I expected him to be a bit more goal hungry this week. I think he had 2. Did he have 2? 1. I thought he had 2. 19 touches. I mean, that's a good amount. Obviously, I want to see over 20, like say 25. But I mean, they were just bombing it to Tex all game. Wanted to get him the record, and Tex had like 16 scoring shots or 18, something like that. Just couldn't get it. So yeah, that's about it for the team for the final time. I mean, I'll just chuck these in so like that I have record of them. Did win against Janaf. You might know him from the DR and Spills podcast, which the names escape me. I listen to it while I'm working. I put my headphones in. I listen to it. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously had a great year. Maybe if I'm smart enough, I'll chuck something up, or maybe it's in the description. Yeah, great year. Honestly, best finish I've had. Probably the best team I've put together when it was all like good before injuries. Pretty excited for next year. I think I'm going to take a couple of months off though after doing a bit of recording today. Let me know what you guys would like to see outside of Supercoach. Maybe is it more prediction videos? Say like player predictors. I know those are pretty popular towards the start of a season. I don't know how much they are. You know, like it's 2024 Supercoach. Should I be making him in 2023? We'll look at it all once we get there. But yeah, hope you all had a good time, a good year, good season, and yeah, hope to see you all back next year. Should have some other content. I'm planning on recording a couple of different franchise videos. I'm a big sports gamer, so Madden, 2K, FIFA's a little bit because I don't know many player names. Once it gets overseas, I struggle with naming and stuff like that. But we'll have a look, right? Anyway, see you all next year. Tasty out. Bye, guys.